Gun violence in this country has been an epidemic for years. But now, according to a new report, kids shot and killed last year could break a new record for deaths from a firearm. According to a new analysis by the Washington Post, not only is it at least one child shot every hour of every day on average, but in 2020, the number exceeded 2,200, by far the highest total in the past 2 decades, and 2021's tally is expected to be worse. When it comes to black children, the Washington Post cites CDC data that shows they are more than 4 times as likely to die of a shooting as white children, although white children are more likely to use guns to kill themselves. The group Everytown for Gun Safety has also studied the impact of gun violence on African Americans, and they found that black people experience 10 times the gun homicides, 18 times the gun assault injuries, and nearly 3 times the fatal police shootings as white Americans. Joining me now to discuss is the author of The Politics of Gun Control, Dr. Robert Spitzer. So, Dr. Spitzer, these numbers are really dispiriting about the number of children who are being killed by firearms, and that those numbers are going up. What contributes to the fact that the numbers are on the rise of the number of children being killed?
Well, it's part of the larger rise of gun violence, and part of the backdrop of this is that in the year 2020, which is when we have the most complete statistics, a record number of gun deaths occurred in the United States, over 45,000 in the year 2020. Now that includes gun homicides, gun suicides, and gun accidents. And when you parse those numbers, what you see, you alluded to it just a minute ago, what you see is that the gun homicide rate has taken up a bigger percentage of that total number of people killed by guns in the calendar year 2020. And, you know, gun deaths per se are alarming and disturbing, but the rise in homicide is particularly stark because it reflects what's going on in society. And the backdrop to this is really the pandemic. And that is one of the, I think, 4 reasons for why we've seen this rise in gun violence, which of course has affected children as well. The over 2,200 children killed with guns, the number you cited a minute ago. So the pandemic is clearly an overarching factor that helps explain this. It's contributed to income insecurity, to school closures, to more violence in the home, to more domestic strife, generally speaking. And that's one bundle of things. And I think 3 other factors contributing to the overall rise in gun violence. A second is factor, in addition to the pandemic, is the reduction in anti-violence programs, both spending for those programs and kind of feet on the ground, people engaging pretty effectively in anti-violence programs. And that activity was largely suspended because of the pandemic, and it's still not gotten back to funding and the kind of activity that existed beforehand. So the absence of those programs has certainly hurt. Third, suspicion and mistrust of the police, and mistrust between the police and communities. And policing is most effective when it can occur in a positive way with the cooperation and assistance of people in communities. That suspicion, that trust is certainly at a low point, suspicion very high. That doesn't help. And finally, the flooding of America with guns. You can't commit gun violence without a firearm. And people sometimes say, look, any weapon can kill a person. It doesn't have to be a gun. But the fact is, the weapon you use makes a big, big difference. There is no interpersonal implement that's more effective at killing a human being than a gun. And the flooding of guns into America through many diffuse patterns, there's been a lot of reporting about the spike in gun purchases. That has contributed importantly to this rise in homicides and murder and suicide.
But our public health experts say that the virus may be endemic, that it may be around to stay. How do we then deal with this gun crisis, particularly the killings of children, if we're not going to be able to shake off the pandemic easily or quickly? In the context of the pandemic, How can we address this issue?
Well, I think the immediate focal point is needs to be anti-violence programs. There is funding coming from the federal government. It'll be a while before it gets through the pipeline and starts to reach communities around the country. Those kinds of programs can be effective. There's no question about that. Public education about firearms is always helpful. It's not very much present to my observation. And regarding the pandemic, it will surely continue to be a factor, but society is coming to live more effectively with the pandemic. And there is some epidemiological reason to believe that its average severity will be reduced over time. And that suggests that people will be able to function in a more normal way. In comparison with the last couple of years. So we may have a version of the pandemic with us, but if it's less severe, if we have more effective strategies to beat back its bad consequences, it'll allow society to function, I think, in a more normal way. And included in that functionality could and should be addressing gun violence problems.